like certain qualities and certain things and hardworking and all that sort of stuff. So don't think that all we care about is money and being superficial and all that sort of stuff, right? So that you might have been taught that maybe a lot of women are like, or whatever the stereotypes out there too, specifically with Asians. That's why I like to make the joke about the gold digger people. Okay, so um, watching the time, I definitely did not say this in 50% of of lesser words than I could have. But I said, but I think I can close now with saying, okay, so if you need me to ask you a few more questions to end this video, is that becoming aware, I'm going to show you right now, okay, becoming aware of what you want it for, and I really seriously want you to write this out, because once you start writing, you're going to see like the things on there. Okay, so whether it's family or, like we said, to be loved or all these sorts of things, right? Again, you can be loved by society or whatever it is. Maybe you're just wanting the live and fuck buddy sort of a situation. I don't know. But then what happens when you go through those phases of not, right? So refer to the dating video because I will go more deeply in there. So you want a life partner to grow with. You can do that with a friend. Um, Friendships, that's just one of the things I just value so much, people. So start your roots in the beginning with somebody as a friend. And that can be challenging for those of you who usually end up banging right away. Okay, the love of self is okay. So stop being intimidated. That was my other thing. And looking at the character traits in the lifestyle. Again, refer to that longer episode on dating because I explain that more. Because I think just because people jump into things based on the looks, there's just a lot of things that, and getting close right away and whatever it is, and then maybe compromising on certain things, and you didn't realize like what was important to you in the end, right? Okay, so going back to asking yourself with your list of questions, um, again, like I said, if society, family, and friends weren't telling you you had to live this life or it's about finding somebody, or also let's just say you just don't want to say, you don't want to be single, like you don't want to say that because you suck. That's like the old ways again of thinking. Like that's how it was, right? People were fearful, whether they're fearful of being alone or all those other things that I told you about and wanting to be loved, but also being single, like there must be something wrong with you, you must suck. Like that's a cultural thing again that irks me. Um, so looking at what you want it for. Also, this is a huge factor because we've been talking about this historically about the divorce rates and things like that. I look at people, those of us, or I don't know, I'm not going to include, I'm not necessarily going to include myself in this because it's not where my head was at. I told you it was more so in thinking that somebody is going to make me feel that I am worthy, right? Give me worth. Oh, they love me. I must be worth something. Okay, that's where my head was at. But I never thought growing up, oh, I'm going to get married and I'm going to have this lifestyle and whatever. It was more so like, well, I want to find somebody. If I find somebody, like, can we just live together and just whatever? Now I'm a fully supportive of all of those people that said that were older than me about living separately. It's just it wrecks a lot of things when you parts of the relationship, even that you see each other if you're seeing each other all the time, right? That's part of it, right? But also you can have your own shit and do your own things and whatever. So that's why I say that's very evolved thinking. But there's lots of people that were older than me that I heard saying that, back in the day. Okay, so I wanted to say I compare the idea to kids or adults, right? Having pets, a pool, and two-story houses. There's probably something else. is that you like the idea of it, but when it comes down to it and you have to see the level of effort that you have to put in and the maintenance on it, it might not be so appealing. Yes, with the right person, with the right circumstance, with the right soul contract, right? Learning lessons with these people. Sometimes you're learning lessons with them for this certain period of time, and after that, it's done, right? It's not, yes, people might say, oh, it was growing apart, it was this and that. But if you have some sort of roots and substance, including friendship, this is going to help you on the path of keeping the relationship or being successful with it, okay? It doesn't mean from day to day things can't change. You know, the whole thing is a risk. That's what I've said before. The whole thing is a risk. So, looking at, I would like you to be serious about what you are wanting it for, because a lot of people don't think about this, okay? I know it. I've talked to a lot of different people, and all the different things too, like I'll have to bring it up, people with like the cultural, like falling out of love with somebody, like I really don't understand that too. I think I did an episode on this, but maybe, oh, I did, excuse me, because I read some book, parts of a book, and he was like a millionaire. And she basically made a comment, like left a note on the table the next day that said, I'm not in love with you anymore, I'm taking the kids. Now, I don't know the circumstance, you know, as far as I know, he wasn't doing, I think the main thing is he worked a lot. That's what the book was about. He ended up becoming a monk. I think he did, or something went through the stage of that. Maybe there was some sort of thing in the title about a Ferrari. Well, basically, he was all consumed in his work. Maybe that caused her to not love him so much anymore. But to me, like, even when, like, maybe when people say that, they mean about them being a dickhead or a jerk or whatever. So I really would have to think more on that to even have understanding of that statement, like that I don't love you anymore. And I think that's just a thing I feel like in culture, like, well, you loved them before, and I believe love is forever. So like, I don't know. I'll get back to you on that if I want to. Okay, so let's go ahead and recap again. Want you to think about what you want a relationship for. We're going to say specific to the one person, right? Because I'm trying to encourage you to stop being intimidated. Don't reject yourself before you've started. And I should have said that at the very beginning of this video, right? Don't reject yourself before you have started. Okay? Stop being intimidated. And then I wrote down third, character traits and lifestyle, because if you are thinking ahead and long term and it's something that you want to be successful, of course you want to look at the lifestyle, right? Well, if the lifestyle is not a match, yes, living with somebody, you will find out about the lifestyle, but there are certain things, like, are there certain character traits to you? Like, what's the soul of this person? What are they, I'm just giving an example, right? What are they spending their money on? What do they do in their free time? What do they do? Do they have any passions and interests? You know, maybe you don't give a care about all this. You know, maybe that, I mean, if the people nowadays, male or female, you're looking, being on the phones all the time, like, I don't know. So that could also be like in picking somebody of a certain age range. Like, I don't know what it is now. If you pick somebody, you know, in their 20s, I mean, is it the majority of the 20-year-olds are like that? And also maybe that's why you should expand outside of not only your circle, your country. Because while we have lots of different ethnicities in our country, there's still a cultural following, or whatever you want to call it, right? The way that we all live our lives. And unless maybe you get some really country girl, or not, you know, non-city living, or, you know, whatever you're looking, what again you're looking for. Um, And then again, that we could go on and on talking about, okay, well, if it seems like you can only find one that is, or a man, like a Christian person, like they're gonna be a certain, they may be a certain way, but there's aspects that's like doesn't accommodate your lifestyle, like, or beliefs, right? We know this. So really making that list of what you're looking for. So I hope, I know I talked a lot and hopefully not too fast, but the goal of this is, like I said, don't reject yourself. Be funny. Do these things that, and also in building yourself and your worth to feel more confident when you are approaching. But it's easier, this is the dating episode. It's easier to approach and develop something with somebody if you see them one more time, if you see them regularly or more than once. If you're ever in one of these situations, though, where you see the person one time you're out and you don't think you'll ever probably see them again, this is where this comes into play, right? And starting conversation and having the balls to do it and all of that. And I just want you to feel like, don't be scared. Don't make assumptions, and don't think that just because somebody is pretty or whatever it is, that they're not going to like you, they're not going to be attracted to you, you don't make enough money, you don't this and this, you don't have anything to offer. It's like you never know, okay? That's what I want to end with. You never know what the other person is thinking. And I know I made this episode very, it sounds complex and complicated. I just look at it as like I should have been a love coach. Is that I look at it as just, again, a preparing and planning and putting thought into something that, into your relationships in general, even the friendships, right? It's like the whole if I knew then what I know now. And I will close again with saying that the focus on culture of people, just people in our lives, again, people thinking that's going to make us happy, right? That's like a final destination, which I don't believe that is thinking that they are either going to make us happy all the time or their place in our life, which sometimes they don't stick around, right? And that's for another show. So the focus again on this cultural stuff, that it's just like everybody's been doing this life, like this is just what we've been doing. I know my mother-in-law was saying, like, even when it came to kids, she's like, that's just what people did. I'm like, well, back then I'm sure there were non-followers, right? Where people were like, it doesn't mean you dislike kids and you whatever, that doesn't even have to be the reason, you're just not focused on it, right? I was focused on being my activist at 14 and things like that. I'm not dreaming of a big white wedding with a big white dress and again that sort of setup. So like I'm sure there were people during that time, whatever, back in the day, like the non-followers, what were they doing? What happened to them? Again, probably a lot of them were looked at as that they suck because you're not following the crowd. You're not doing what other people did. I know other people, one or two clients, or maybe just other people that have been like, when they knew that we only had one kid, they'd be like, "Oh, you were the smart one." I was all, "Huh?" I mean, while I agree, but like even they were saying that, right? Because they were having multiples, because that's just what you did, or peer pressure, or these sorts of things. Maybe they were worried about, again, having the only child, but yet nowadays, when there's more than one child, they're not even playing with each other anyway sometimes. Sometimes it's like that, right? They're going to both be on their phones or their electronics. So it's all this stuff I've gathered from looking, talking, observing people's relationships, how they live, what happened from like what age, what and how they were thinking later in life, multiple marriages, including my dad on wife number 4, and just some people just continuously going into different relationships, just again, whether it's unfulfillment, I want to be alone, whatever the reasons. Everybody has a different reason. I'm not here to even judge the reasons. I'm just trying to help you decide on what you truly want, what you need to do, what I think I would recommend once you do decide what you want, how to take action. Okay? And that is number 1. Hands down, I would say going in, and if you are approaching somebody randomly, that's what kind of this would apply to. Don't reject yourself. Don't shoot yourself down before you started. Okay, people? And get to know the person. And again, that's all I got for you right now. And I hardly even looked at my notes, so I hope I did a good job. Hopefully I provided some value for you, and it helps you and makes you feel maybe better or more positive or whatever it is. Love is a beautiful thing, and it can be a beautiful thing, and it just depends, I think, on the level of effort that you want to put in to keeping any relationship that you have. Okay? So I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to check out the dating one if you want to know more. Okay? But plan for those long ones too. You might have to pause and come back. And I'm sure I have writing exercises in there too that you need to do. So if you didn't do it, if you didn't stop this video and do it as we were going, I encourage you, when you turn this off or later today, get out your piece of paper. I know it sounds really dumb. It sounds dumb because it's so simple and how a lot of us don't do it. Okay, so I'm going to go hold myself accountable right now after talking to you and myself to go finish my writing. And so I am sticking to that and making myself work on my creative pieces and my leadership articles. Okay, so I'll see you next time. And that's it. That's all I got for you today.